What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another Studio Saturday. Today we're just going to be covering all the data that you're able to access in Camera Raw and why you should shoot in RAW format rather than in JPEG. So today we're just going to open up a pretty standard image that I recently captured. So here, once you load into Camera Raw, this is exactly what's going to show you. Right here, you can see the image and you see all our raw data. You can check it's Camera Raw default. So this image hasn't been touched before whatsoever. First thing we're going to want to do is we're just going to adjust our white balance here. So we can adjust the temperature and the tint. You can see we can make it warm, we can make it cold. This is super useful when trying to get colors to be natural. Like you can see, now we're at a natural default tone for this mouse. The tint, if an image is too green, you can shift it to purple. If it's too purple, you can shift it to green. And then you have your exposure, your contrast, highlights, shadows, whites, blacks, texture, clarity, dehaze, vibrance, and saturation. So then the next thing I like to do is I go into my HSL adjustment layer. So this is your hue, saturation, luminance adjustments layer. Luminance adjusts for the light that you're allowing a certain color to have, so if it's really light, or you can darken it. Hue and saturation allow for color shiftings as well as grayscaling a color or boosting it for maximum saturation. So I like to start out in luminance just so I can play with the colors and really get the colors where I want them to be. So this is adjusting here and here on the reds. And I don't want these to be super dark because I want them to have a little bit of life to them. As we can shift our blues back down. So what you see what that does? It shifts these on the mouse back to a grayscale coloring. And just like that, mouse is now back in grayscale. And then we can go into our hue layer. Now obviously when you apply zero saturation, it's not going to allow for a color shift. So if you'll notice that, there's no color shifting happening, which is a good thing. And then what I like to do is once we've already introduced our noise from our texture and clarity layer, we come right in here to do our detail layer. We're going to grab our luminance tool and we're going to shift this right up to around 40. So it's going to start to mellow everything back out and make it smooth, but it's going to keep our object nice and crisp in the foreground. So you can see the difference that's making. So that's 0. That's around 60. We want to go to around 40%. But I don't think that's necessary. And then what I like to do is I don't like to do the parametric curve. I like being able to adjust on my own. So I grab this point curve. But you can see just from accessing your raw data, you can really pull and push a lot of an image to look like your final image. The only thing I'm going to do now is we're going to straighten the horizon. And we're going to grab our graduated filter. This is all accessed in your raw data. So by using this, you can then take this and we're going to reset all of these right now. And from doing this, you can then take and adjust in a specific section. And then we're going to grab our radial filter. And you can see it's going to apply the same filter that we previously put on, which is totally fine, but we're just going to clear it because we don't obviously want the same filter. Now we're going to just come in and we're going to adjust. And by clicking off of that, you can then see now we have our before and after. The highlights seem a bit harsh off this front edge, so what we can do is we can come back through here And then we're gonna even go back into our radial filter. As you can see, it's all just basically like a guess and check. You really want to just guess and check a lot of your stuff. So you can see our before and after, showcasing the mouse a bit more. And like I said, this is going to get a desat layer applied to it. So we're just going to open this image now.
Ripples fade away. Human hearts aren't so lucky. Those battle scars remain. Oh, I can't let go of the one thing I wanted most. I'm chasing echoes, echoes of your ghost. Can't let go of the one thing I wanted most. I'm chasing echoes, echoes of your ghost. La 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 la.
Now we're going to open the image again with just what we had from our Camera Raw data. So you guys can be able to see the difference of what you can do in just Camera Raw and what you actually have to do in simply Photoshop. So we're going to pull these two side by side right now. So you guys can see which is the more dramatic or appealing image, which, like I said, all we did was a simple desaturation mask on this area here. And then we simply brightened up the wheel color. But you could see how close we got to our final image with just using our raw data. So you guys have to understand how much you can actually do with just your raw data and the perks of shooting in RAW as compared to shooting and then trying to fix everything in Photoshop. A lot of it can just be done in Camera Raw. That data is available to you. Virtually every camera has that setting to be able to shoot in RAW. It has that data available to you rather than shooting in JPEG, which won't give you all the options possible by shooting in RAW. So I do hope you guys found this enjoyable. You guys can see the difference of everything here, and I hope to see you guys next Saturday.